That's one of the ways to say how are you in Moroccan Arabic. I understand there's a few different dialects up in there. And that's how are you in one of those dialects. I understand it's the gender neutral greeting. Works for a guy, works for a girl, works for whatever the hell Chewbacca is. It works for everybody.
Excuse me, sir, but I think there's plenty of evidence to state that Chewbacca is a male. It's in the canon as well as the film.
Who the hell are you?
I'll just show myself out.
Swear to God, I gotta change the locks in this place. But how are you guys doing? How are you? That's what matters right now. Are any of you Moroccan? Did any of you get a kick out of that intro? I knew a Moroccan guy once. He was a dick. Now he was a likable guy. He had plenty of people that were very fond of him, and I was too, up to a point. I used to work with him back at the old theater. Let's call him Benny. Well, Benny every day would come in just cheery, be saying hi to people. He'd be a fun-loving dude. And then one day, while I was trying to get my flirt on, yes, at work, I worked at a theater. Who gives? This is not the government, okay? Me dating a coworker when I work in a movie theater doesn't result in any treaties not coming through, any trade deals falling apart. There's not going to be a committee investigation into my wang. You know what the worst thing that could happen at a movie theater is when two employees are dating? Whispering. That's it. Just gossiping. And yes, the occasional mystery condom here and there, but there are rooms for that sort of thing. Right? Don't all workplaces have like a unofficial employee bang lounge? Isn't that part of the professional experience to have one of those? I know we did. Oh, we definitely did. We had a closet, and it was really gross, in all honesty. There was about like 5 seasons of CSI Miami in those carpet fibers, man. Ugh. If a hardcore Christian would walk into that room, they'd start weeping, get out a bunch of little tiny tombstones and crosses for the millions of unborn children just caking those walls. That's disgusting. I know. Anyway, about this Moroccan gentleman who happened to be a gold medalist in the A-hole Olympics. I'm there trying to get my flirt on with this. I don't know what to say at this point in my life. Lady, woman, chick, girl, I don't know. It all feels weird. But I was there trying to flirt with her. And in the middle of this really, some would say Rocky-like attempt of courage and failure, here comes Benny. I'm there trying to flirt with her, and this dude walks up out of nowhere, and I don't even remember how he did it, but he worked his way into our conversation. And we were there cleaning this popcorn machine, and I'm saying some things, popping some jokes here and there, and the guy decides to say the most helpful thing that you can say when you see that someone's trying to flirt with somebody else, and that is, I like this guy. He's pretty weird. I and the girl were the only ones there, so he was definitely not talking to me, which means he was talking to the only other person there who was a girl that I was having a one-on-one conversation with. Now, some of you might be thinking, look, how's that guy supposed to know that you were trying to flirt with somebody? Maybe you're just that bad at it. Maybe he couldn't tell. Maybe he thought you were trying to stop talking to her because you were being so uncharming. And I don't know. That might be so. But anyway, let me move on with the story. He walks up, says his fantastic one-liner, I like this guy. He's pretty weird. Now, me, at that point, I was pretty upset. I was pretty annoyed, pretty aggravated very quickly because I have very low tolerance for people who have no tact and simultaneously make people seem like they're less than them. I don't know. It's just that combo. That kind of person who at school would walk up to you and just kind of like say something weird with his friends around him just to see you get uncomfortable. And then they'd like laugh at each other, sort of. Like it wasn't like 1960s bullying, throwing people in a locker or something like that. But it was like this weird mental version of that, where the entire point and goal of that kind of bullying is just to make you feel uneasy, which in some ways I find that more cruel than like physical abuse. In some ways I find that approach to be more sinister, people, just because of the psychological element. I think that's what it is. It's that cerebral thing that this guy's coming up to you and making you feel uncomfortable, not with physical force, not with brute, abuse, stuff like that, but just like with their words and their tone, and by just putting you in this unnecessary, awkward social situation that you see as filling them with joy and just glee. Just, Oh, they love it. They love seeing you just slowly kind of lose your state of peace. You know, you're just there eating your lunch, whatever, and then all of a sudden now you're not eating your lunch. Now you're having to deal with them and the weird vibe that they brought to you. They hijacked your moment, and now they get to watch you squirm. I like this guy. He's pretty weird. I heard that. I realized the situation I was in. I was just having a one-on-one conversation with this girl that I would like to go out with, and this dude walks up out of nowhere and decides that's the best thing to say. That's the appropriate thing to say in this moment. So I turned to him and I said, you know, you're a nice guy. And I mean that sarcastically. And I kept cleaning the popper. Now, shots have been fired. The girl's looking at me, looking at him. Things are getting uncomfortable. Now, the guy did the thing that assholes do. That wonderful thing that assholes do where they're assholes to you, but as soon as you say something rude to them, all of a sudden, they're Nelson Mandela. They're the Dalai Lama. There they were, just full of righteousness, and now you've come along and been rude. They didn't do anything to you. They're pure. They're in the right. And that's what happened with this guy, only he showed it in his own way, which didn't make him look too good, because what happened was the following. At that point in time, I had hair down to my shoulders. This dude sees that and says, how about I cut your hair, woman? Now, like anybody else, I don't like it when people try to insult me. But I gotta say, at that moment in time, it was a tug of war between just being angry and being overjoyed at the response that I was gonna get to give. And I got up like a kid on Christmas and I turned to him and said, woman? You're using woman as an insult? You know, if I didn't know better, I would say that you don't respect women. Wow, the girl next to me was beautiful. She had been trying to stay out of this dude bullshit, but she was so engaged now. She's looking at him like, yeah, is that what you're trying to say? And I'm just like, oh, this is beautiful. The look of total shock on his face. It was like we were in a boxing match and I had just pulled out a gun and a dildo. He didn't know what the hell was going on. All he knew is one way or another, he was fucked. We are back. And anyway, I began the story. I gotta get to the finish line here. Back to Benny. Eventually, after some tense times and plenty of scowling, I tried suspending belief and pretended like maybe he didn't know he was being a jerk off, and I told him, hey, look, man, I just reacted that way because, you know, I was trying to flirt with her and you kind of showed up out of nowhere and, you know, said this about me, which doesn't really help. And the best part is I got to see immediate confirmation of my theory that he was a jerk off because I just had confessed that to him. You know, I met him halfway, told him what was going on inside my brain, and he had a few options for what he could have said. His answer could have been, I'm sorry. You know, his answer could have been a little more down the middle of, hey, man, you shouldn't have said that to me, but, you know, I didn't notice what you were trying to do. My bad. Either of those two would have been fine, but no, he went with the tried and true jerk-off answer of, dude, you can't get upset about things like that. Now, the thing with that answer is, depending on how big of a jerk-off asshole sociopath that you are, you can apply that to anything. You could be talking to the Zodiac killer saying, you murdered my entire family, and he'll just go, dude, you can't get mad about things like that. Come on, what? It's murder. It happens all the time, man. Toughen up, dude. Jesus. Want to get a beer? Because that's what jerk-off asshole sociopaths do. It's not about what they did. It's always about how you shouldn't be bothered by what they did. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be anything from a verbal insult to backing up over your grandma 17 times with a pickup truck. They don't care. They're just like, hey, you know, as long as I did it, I don't see the big deal. Now, your reaction, that's where the problem is. Very Buddhist of them. They've found douchebag nirvana. So I confessed and he said I shouldn't have been mad about what he did. I understood. You know what? This is the closest this guy's going to get to being thoughtful. It ain't going to get much further. I let it go. Water went under the bridge. He did the same. We were fine. He went back to being the likable, secretly jerk-off guy. I went back to being jittery and Hispanic. And then, eventually, he left the theater. A few months later, while I was still there, Benny returned. Like a case of gonorrhea. He returned, and he found me, and he was very pleasant, very upbeat, very excited. And I'll be honest with you guys, at that moment, I was happy to see him too. And we were just two dudes shooting the breeze in a theater lobby. And he told me about a new job that he had, and I was happy for him, genuinely happy. I was like, hey, dude, good for you, man. He's like, yeah, I'm a valet now. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, dude. That must be great. He's like, yeah, it is, man. I make so much more money than you. Huh? Yeah, man. No, it's really good, dude. It's so great. I make so much more money than you, dude. And that was it. That was the last conversation I had with Benny. And so, kids, that's why when someone is mean to you, when someone is a jerk, you gotta let the water go under the bridge. But not before you make sure that they are drowning beneath it. Go fuck yourself, guy. I'm just kidding, guys. We at Oops Wrong Hole believe in forgiveness and peace and love. And sometimes free love, depending on the situation and whether or not Marvin Gaye is playing on the radio. If it's starting, you can't stop it, baby. You got to ride that wave. Doesn't matter where it leads. Someplace sticky or a hospital room. You know, if you got a weird itch, you got to get that checked. Yeah, we at Oops Wrong Hole believe this firmly. You got to live and let live. And if this ever-changing world in which you're living makes you give it a try, say that guy. Thank you for listening. This has been the 14th episode of Oops Wrong Hole. It's been a pleasure, and I am Ramses Ralvacast. Follow me on all the social medias at Ralvacast. That's RALVACAST. That's right, on Twitter, on Instagram, and of course, on Donkey Grinder. It's as scary as it sounds. Have a good night, everybody. Hasta la bye-bye.